Hello and welcome. Today we are here to observe International Childhood Cancer Day. Cancer is one of the deadliest diseases in the world and the second biggest cause of mortality. But are children too at risk of cancer? What exactly is childhood cancer? To understand everything about this condition, today we have with us Dr. Nandini Chaudhary Hazarika from Delhi's Rainbow Children's Hospital.
Hi, Sadhana. Thank
Yes.
you.
So, what I was asking, what I wanted to know from you is cancer really common among children?
Yes, the incidence is increasing, uh, though the number is less than the adult cancer, because when we talk of all cancers, it's around 4 to 5% only, which is happening in children. But yes, incidence is increasing, and almost 60,000 to 70,000 new cases of cancer are diagnosed every year in children. So that is a huge number for our country. And it's not that it is like one of the leading cause of mortality also in children. It's the ninth leading cause of mortality in children. And yes, nowadays we can see that the percentage of like number of children out of total cancers, no, it was a decade back, it was around 2.5% of all cancers. Now it has increased to almost 5.5% of all
It's a
cancers.
huge
So
number. So, is
definitely
it
increased.
are newborns also at risk?
Yes, it's not that it's so common in newborn babies, but yes, there are some rare cancers like congenital leukemias and some cancers which can also happen in newborn, but it's not so common in newborns. But below one, also there are some cancers like retinoblastoma, it's a cancer of the eye, which usually see very in young children around 1 year of age or below 1 year also sometimes. Then there is a disease called neuroblastoma, which can happen even in 3 4 months old baby also. So though it's not so common, yes, it can happen.
Yes. So, the second question which I was about to ask is, what is the most common childhood cancer that is that is causing mortality these days?
Can't say exactly for mortality, yeah, but the commonness type of childhood cancer is leukemia. So this is there are different types of leukemia. The commonest being the ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So their outcome is excellent actually. This is the success story of modern oncology. So most of these ALLs, if we can diagnose them early and give them adequate treatment, they are curable nowadays. So almost around 80% of them can get cured. So that's the best part of it. It is one of the commonest cancer in children. And after leukemia, there are other cancers like lymphoma, then brain tumors are also common in children.
When we are talking about the types of cancer the children can suffer from, which one is the deadliest one among these?
See, most of the childhood cancers are curable, unlike the adult cancers. Okay, the best part is that. So deadliest, I can't say any single type, but then it depends on the stage of the disease. If it's very advanced disease, you are detecting it late. Even a ALL, which I said almost 80% can be cured, if we detect them very late, then the results are poor. So it's the stage of the disease. If you're detecting a very advanced disease, for even a good risk tumor can be bad, have a bad outcome. Brain tumors also, which earlier we were thinking they are deadly as some of the brain tumors, but yes, with better treatment and proper protocol based treatment, we are getting good results even with very high risk brain tumors also.
Right, right. So, since you said the word adult cancer, I am curious myself how it is different from the ones that we are discussing right now, childhood cancer and adult cancer. What is the difference between both the terms, if there is any?
Yeah, difference is there. Yes, the types of cancer we see in children are more aggressive type. They respond better to treatment, especially to chemotherapies. They are like more aggressive tumors will always respond better to chemotherapies. Their outcomes are better. Okay, which is not happening in adult cancer. Mostly in adult, you see carcinomas. the type of cancer we see in adults, which is a little slow growing, and it's you cannot control it properly most of the time. It's like that. In early stages, yes, even adult cancers are curable, but if it advances, but in children, it's carcinoma we don't see in children. It's very, very rare to see in children. These are mostly embryonal tumors. The type is different. Okay, we see all blastomas like neuroblastomas, hepatoblastomas, retinoblastomas. No, so these are medulloblastomas. That means these are more immature type of cells and embryonal cells, which will be aggressive in the nature. This will immediately, it will grow fast, but response to treatment is very good. That's the best part of pediatric cancer. So types are different, treatment protocols are different, and the outcome is excellent in children. One more thing in pediatric and adult, like in adult cancer, most of the time, like there is an environmental or there's a risk factors associated, like tobacco, uh, obesity, and lifestyles. So these are more commonly as a part of risk factors for adult cancer, which in children, the risk factors are not that much as we talk now. Like uh, that's why the screening, we don't have that much of screening for pediatric cancers. Like you have a lot of screening tests for adult cancers because you know the some of the reasons that it can cause. But in children, many of the time we don't know the reason. So that's why early diagnosis is and giving an best effective treatment is the key to better.
If I'm talking about the childhood cancer, what are the common symptoms a person can look out for, for early diagnosis of the particular disease?
Yeah, see, these are symptoms which can happen in other diseases also. But yes, the symptoms sometimes overlap. But we have to be careful. Like if the child is having a fever, which is one of the commonest symptoms, especially in leukemias, which is the commonest cancer in children. So fever persisting for almost 2 weeks, more than 3 weeks. We call it pyrexia of unknown origin. Like fever, it's there and you are giving all kinds of treatment, you have ruled out all infections, but you are not finding a cause for fever. Okay, and fever is persisting. In that case, yes, we should think that there may be some underlying maybe cancer or not, but we need to investigate, we need to consult doctors. One is the fever, one is if you have a bleeding from your gum or teeth or any black spots in the body or red small spots in the body, which could be because of your low some blood counts, platelet counts. So that is one, bleeding, then fever. Then if you have some the nodes we have in the neck, we have a lot of nodes on both sides in the axilla also. So if neck nodes are enlarged, swollen without any, so these are one can sometimes can be symptoms of lymphoma. But in children, enlarged lymph node is very common, which can be just because of some infections, which is very common in children actually. So sometimes we might miss, but if the node is not regressing, it is continuously increasing in size, yes, we need to investigate. Then if you have a joint pain along with fever and you are looking pale, and you have black spots, then also you need to investigate. Then for brain tumors, usually the child can present with vomiting. Then there may be headache also. So
So
many
the
times,
initial symptoms.
yeah, the vomiting is there, then we think it could be because of some abdominal problems. But if it is there for a longer time, so any symptoms which with the normal treatment, it's not going away and you are not finding any diagnosis, we need to look deeper. For abdominal tumors, the mother can notice that abdomen is swollen sometimes. So then abdominal tumors can be detected like that. For eye tumors, sometimes there's a white spot in the eye we notice. Sometimes the eye may bulge out a little bit. So these are some of the symptoms.
So any unique cancer which only affects the children, not the adults? Anything, if there is any.
Yeah, there are few, like I talked about retinoblastomas, which happens in very young children, then neuroblastomas. So these are mostly we see in children only. In adults, we don't see this kind of tumors,
Okay.
very, very rare. Then hepatoblastoma, then Wilms tumor, it's a tumor, a kidney tumor, which we see in children only. So there are, yes. And some cancers, they happen in children also, in adult also, but very young adult, not in a older adult, you don't see. Some there is an overlap of some cancers, but you see like medulloblastoma, it's a type of brain tumor which is very common in children, but you can see in a 18-year-old, 20-year-old boy also, which will be very rare. But yes, we can see in adult also, so like that.
Okay. Which age group is more vulnerable to these childhood cancers?
See, there are different types of cancer happening in different age groups. Like I talk of leukemia and all, which is more common in like from 2 years onwards to 10 years, or 6 to 10 years is the commonest age group for leukemia. But you can see beyond 10 years also. So then like neuroblastomas, Wilms tumor, these are we see children below 4 5 years, below 4 5 years. Then there are some bone tumors like osteosarcoma, Ewing sarcoma, which we see in adolescent children like 12 13 years, that age group, no, from 11 years onwards to 18 years onwards, you see those bone tumors. So it depends on the which type of cancer. There's some cancers happen in some particular age group more commonly.
Since we have discussed about the symptoms and the disease, what are the treatments that are available in India to treat these conditions among children?
See, for pediatric cancers, the most of the cancers will need chemotherapy because they are more chemosensitive tumors. Some will also need radiation therapy. Like I'll just tell you, in cancer treatment, we have three major treatments. One is chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and another is surgery. Okay, so in children, chemotherapy, almost most of the cancer will need chemotherapy. Along with that, like for brain tumors, we have to give radiation also. Then if it is a tumor of the abdomen, then you need surgery also. So these three treatment combined for some diseases. In some diseases like leukemias, it's only chemotherapy. And sometimes these patients, if they relapse also, they need bone marrow transplant also. So these are four types of treatment. And then nowadays there are immunotherapies also, which is more commonly used in adults. But yes, nowadays in children also, we are doing a lot of mutation tests, genetic tests. And if they do not respond to the standard treatment of chemotherapy, then we try with this newer molecular treatments based on the gene we detect.
Right.
So all treatments are available in India actually. Even the newer drugs we get nowadays in India also. So.
Okay. So you said there are very little risk factors among the children to get the cancer. But can you discuss a little bit about the risk factors for our viewers to understand, and to keep them
Hmm.
safe or keep their children safe?
See, in children, the exact cause, no one knows why it's happened. It can happen randomly to anyone, anytime. Okay. The only thing is that there are hypotheses that we think that there are some abnormal genes in our body, which, due to some other external factors, they get converted into a cancerous gene. Okay. The person may carry that abnormal gene throughout the life and may not get cancer. But in any time of the life, if that the abnormal gene gets converted into cancerous gene, why they get converted into cancerous gene, so that is one thing, that there could be some environmental factors, some viral infections sometimes, like there's a EB virus, Epstein-Barr virus, which is known to cause some diseases like lymphomas, some another nasopharyngeal carcinoma which happens inside the nose. So there are some viruses are also involved, which if you have the virus infections, it's not that everyone will get cancer, but yes, some they will change your immune system and you might get that disease. That is one possibility. Sometimes uh, there are some chemicals, if you're living near close to some industrial areas and all, some chemicals can also alter your immune system, and that the gene alteration can happen. So the main the basic thing is there is a gene mutation. Mutation means there is a change in the gene happening inside our body, which can lead to cancer in our body. But why the gene changes, exact cause we don't know. It can randomly, anyone can have that genetic mutation. But yes, the environmental factors definitely plays a role. But exactly we can't say, like nowadays there's so much of pollutions, even in food we don't know what we are eating. So that's why from anywhere you can get those mutations. So that is one thing. But Of course, we need to restrict some of the things like in our hand, like which we can control ourselves. One is leading a better lifestyle, eating a balanced diet. Like obesity in children can lead to cancer in adult life also. So obesity is a known factor. So now the children are, the physical activity is gone, the outdoor activities are like this time to because of COVID, but even before COVID also, the children are more focused in computers, mobiles nowadays. So at least we should have some outdoor activities, more sports should be encouraged. You know, even in children, the sports activities in schools, and even not in school, the parents should encourage their children to have some sports activities, some physical activities, so that that regulates their body or immune system. We have a better immune system. Introduce fruits, vegetables more in the diet. So have a balanced diet. It's not that only junk food, you need to have more fruits and vegetables. So reducing obesity, leading a better life, increasing your physical activity is definitely going to reduce your risk. In adult, it's proven, but in children also, yes, it is definitely going to reduce your risk.
Yes, yes. Sedentary lifestyle or something which is very unhealthy lifestyle you are leading can raise the risk of cancer. And do you think geography also plays a very important role in this particular criteria?
Geography, not for all cancers. Yes, like I said, the EB virus infections. Yes, this is some common in some part of the country. Even like in eastern part in Nagaland, the EB virus infection is more. There we get more of pharyngeal carcinomas. And like in Africa, they have Burkitt's lymphomas very common, which is actually due to the EB virus infection. So some viral infections are common in some part of the world because of the temperature, the climate areas that could lead to some cancers. So that is one. Some food habits again can also have some impact depending on the geographical areas, and all the food habits also differ.
Absolutely. Eye cancer, this is like, what are the causes? Is it like using mobile phone can raise your risk or any other causes? Because these
There are a
children,
lot of actually, yeah, yes. For regarding mobile phones, actually, there are a lot of trials happen, a lot of studies have like been done, but nothing conclusive like that it will cause, because the radiation it emits is very minimal. But yes, of course, it's not good for anyone to have the mobile phone all the time near your close to your ears, but there's no definite uh, like I can't say that it will cause. So
what is the main cause of cancer in the newborns?
see, as I said, no, there's a genetic mutations. So even in newborns apply that, so that mutations can happen even the child is in utero with the mother's womb. That time also the can changes, and that presence at birth, so that can also happen. So that time there could be some other factors which is affecting the mother, or uh, it, see, we cannot pinpoint one cause for anything, but yes, there may be the like exposure to smoking, drinking during pregnancy, or someone is smoking at your house and you're pregnant. This is a passive smoking.
Right.
So those are of the things which we can prevent, but there's no clear cut data. Someone may be smoking and do not get a cancer throughout the life, so that is also possible. But yes, there are some environmental factors which can lead to the genetic mutations even the child is in utero, and that could be the one of the reasons behind this. Usually one more point I'll highlight you this, you're talking about familial or hereditary.
Yes.
So really it's not that most of the cancers are not familial, they're just random mutations. If one child has cancer, it doesn't mean that other child will also have cancers. But yes, there are some cancers, very small number, there are some cancers which runs in the families. There are some genes, abnormal genes, which runs in the family, which are not very common. They're very rare.
So, what are the side effects of these treatments that a person can actually experience, both in the term of long
Yeah,
term and short term side effects?
Side effects, short-term side effects are mostly like when we give chemotherapy, the short-term side effects are mostly there could be nausea, vomiting, but we give a lot of medications before giving vomiting. Nowadays, there are many new medicines also to prevent vomiting. So we don't see that much of vomiting nowadays. Yes, then loss of appetite, the taste will change. So sometimes there may be ulcers in the mouth. So same ulcer can happen inside your intestine. So you might get loose motions also. Then your white blood cells will go down. So that is an important thing. If that's why we do a lot of blood tests while giving chemotherapies. So if your white cells goes down, you might catch infections. So if you have infections, you will have fever. So these are acute symptoms, but the long-term side effects, mostly there are two major concerns, like two, three major concerns. One is kind of infertility, if especially in adolescent children, where if you're using some medicines, it depends on which medicine you are using. Some medicines causes infertility in the long term. So especially for adolescents and young adults, those we always advise them to preserve the, for male, we semen preservations, and for female the ovarian tissue preservation, so that in future they want to have a family or they can use it. That is one. Another is the heart problem can happen 15 20 years later also. That depends on, there's a drug, doxorubicin or adriamycin we use in uh, kind of entracycline group of drugs. There are some drugs, if you use those drugs, and there is a limited dose also, that you can use this much dose only maximum. If you beyond that dose, there is a chances of getting those heart diseases later in life. This is a long term, and there could be some second malignancy also very long term. So sometimes with radiation therapy, with chemotherapy. So these are three major things in the long terms we see. Otherwise, most of the short-term problems, that is usually manageable.
Right. Are there any facilities for after treatment care for pediatric cancer patients in India?
Yeah, most of the centers which deal with pediatric cancer, who treat pediatric cancers, they have a survival OPDs, survival clinics, like for those patients who finish treatment, because we follow them up for a long time, especially for initial 5 years, we follow very strictly, because if the cancer has to come back, it usually comes back within the first 5 years. So we need to follow up very strictly. After 5 years, usually once a year also we call them, depending on what type of cancer, what treatment we have given. So up to 10 years also we follow them up. So it's a long follow up with us. So we have some, most of the centers who treat have the survival clinics, especially bigger centers like AIMS and Tata, they have a big survival clinics where then, because the number is more, so those patients comes on those fixed OPDs for their checkups after completing those treatment, because sometimes they need other help also besides the treatment related things, because sometimes rehabilitations, then for their educations, how they will cope up with the educations, then next their life and going back to societies for adolescents,
Right.
children. So those are other issues we need to handle.
Right. So on a positive note, I want to end this conversation. When we are talking about this particular childhood cancer, what are the precautions a child can take from his childhood so that he can prevent the long-term effects as well? We have already discussed about avoiding the sedentary lifestyle and following a very
Yeah.
a nice a healthy diet. Other than that, any other precautions a child can take so that he can
See, as
live.
I said, there's not much of preventive action for childhood cancer we talk of. So best way is to lead a normal, healthy life and do as much as physical activity you can do. That's the best actually. Even during cancer treatment also, it is proven if you're doing a lot of physical activity, your outcomes are much better. So if for a normal child, doing physical activity, taking a balanced diet, and that is, and enjoying life. The stress also leads to a lot of other things nowadays. So there, the children are anyway so much of stressed up with studies and all. So then they can have some activities which they like, Like someone maybe they're inclined to music, someone maybe sports, so they should go out some for some other activities besides studies also. That's, I feel, that will help them have a fresh mind and physical activity and balanced diet. So these are the things at least we can follow up, reducing the junk food, reducing those soft drinks and all. So those are usually harmful for the body. So that will be the thing we can at least, maybe if it's not that everything is in our hand, at least something we can control from our side.
Of course,
That
yes.
will help us. Yeah.
Doing something, or keeping our immunity
Yeah, strong.
strong. Yes. Other than this, while the treatment is while a cancer patient is undergoing the treatment, what are the precautions that a child can take?
Yeah, during treatment, usually we always try to prevent from infections because their immunity is low during that time. The resistance power is low. So they will catch the infections easily. Treatment will get delayed. So our focus is to give the treatment on time. So that also helps for a better outcome. So then we always advise to have freshly cooked, warm food, homemade food, not outside foods are mostly we don't allow during treatment, and avoid crowded places so that you don't catch infections. And anyone at home having some cold cough should not come in contact with the child. Maintaining hygiene mostly. So that is what, and having a nutritious food, like more of protein liquids are allowed, and more vegetables, fruits, we have a lot of antioxidants. So those are the because we have a like it's not only giving chemotherapy, it's kind of an holistic treatment. You need a dietitians which will help you with the part. You have a psychologist which will also counsel the parents, because there's a lot of counseling required during the treatment. It's a long treatment,
Yes.
almost 6 months to year, 2 years treatment, most of the cancers, no, very long treatment. So the child will miss the school sometimes if they are coming from a far place for treatment. Then there are siblings. Siblings suffers a lot during that time because parents are more focused with this child who is suffering. So the other child actually suffers a lot. So those caregivers also need a lot of counseling. So we support them with our counseling sessions, with our counselors, clinical counselors are also there, psychologists, and we also, as a doctor, we do a lot of counseling with them. The nutrition all we take care. Then there are art therapists who will help you during the treatment to improve the mind and motivate the child during go through the treatment. So these are, it's a full holistic actually approach for a child and the family. You need to support the family as well. There are financial issues also. It's a long treatment, a lot of cost involved. So especially in there are NGOs and all, which also helps kind of, they have social workers helps out through finances also.
Right. So you said stress can cause cancer. It's one of the causes. It's one of the risk factor. Stress can also follow after after the child is free from cancer. What, as a parent, a person can do, to help the child recoup, or feel better after the treatment.
That's what I said. A lot of counseling is required, and then we have some support groups also, like the parents or the children who has already suffered. So they counsel the other newly diagnosed to cope up with the situation. And once you are finished, then we need to give them a positive boost. And we try to get them back to the school or normal life immediately once you finish. Even during treatment, sometimes we allow, if the treatment is not very intensive, the child is from the same place. So allow them to continue with their routine treatment, routine day-to-day life activities, uh, so that the child doesn't feel that he's not with his peers and all, no? So that feeling, and especially the hair loss is a problem because small children, they don't feel anything because they don't understand, but especially in age group from 11 years onwards and all, 15, 16 years, that age group is very difficult to handle. So a lot of counseling that is required even throughout treatment, even after treatment, and try to help them to lead a normal life. So
Absolutely.
in yet there are issues. Sometimes we had a girl who, like, because of the short, she has a height has not, she has not gained the height because the radiation was given in the spine. So now she has grown up, but that's one issue. She doesn't want to mix up with other friends, you know. So those areas we need to focus a lot, and we try to help them with our
These are
counseling
the
session.
side effects, I guess, height.
Yeah, long term issues are still there, no doubt. We have a better survival, that's a good thing, but long term issues are there sometimes with the survivors.
But
But there are students who survived and they support a lot. There are some positive minded children also who take it in a very different way, and they try to help other childrens. So we do regular sessions with support group sessions so that they get connected.
right. So what I understood is like cancer risk is there, but there are ways we can prevent it by exercising daily, by following a healthy routine, by maintaining a healthy diet. These can be preventive measures a person or a mother can take for her child or his child and prevent the disease from affecting them. So we had a very insightful discussion. Thank you so much, ma'am, for helping us know about the disease and anything else you want to talk about which I have missed.
I think we have mostly covered. The only message I want to give that when we heard, like when we talk of cancer, no, the parents get scared immediately, and there's a lot of denial initially by my child will have cancer, so they don't want to go for biopsy and all. Even if you advise something, like for children, the first contact pediatricians mostly, most of the time, the pediatrician will advise if there is a gland in the neck and go for biopsy. They will think why my child will have cancer. No, this is not something. No, so they will not go for diagnosis sometimes. So it gets delayed. So it happens even with some educated parents we have seen. So at least early diagnosis, we need to focus more on early diagnosis, because prevention, as I said, uh, it's not that whatever we can do, yes, but for children, mostly it is just randomly, it can happen to anyone, the gene changes. So at least if you can diagnose early, if the parents or the general public is aware of that cancer can happen in children, and these are some of the symptoms, we should not neglect for at least we should diagnose early. If someone has advised you to do this, so do that. So if you can diagnose early, most of them are curable actually. So
Even
early stage,
infant leukemia.
yeah, see, even some high risk diseases are also curable, but at least early diagnosis, early stage are mostly curable.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your time and for making us understand, for spreading the awareness, uh, everything, for everything. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.